It's so calm right now. We're doing about 4 knots, but the seas are unbelievably flat. I don't get a chance to come up forward just for looking around like I am right now. Everything looks fine. I just inspected all the ropes and blocks and everything's fine, as it should be. Good morning, Rovers. Well, this is day 5 of Wave Rover's Atlantic crossing, where we left Chesapeake Bay in the United States and we're bound for the Azores, specifically the Port of Horta. After a day of drifting for hours, for over 12 hours, we've finally had the wind fill in from the south. It's very, very light, probably 5 or 6 knots, but it's enough to get us going. Amazingly, even in these light breezes, the Mark III is steering a steady course. And of course we have our light weather sail up. Look at this beautiful sunset. And the seas are relatively calm with just a gentle ocean swell. What an epic sky. And Wave Rover doing 4 knots under these conditions. With a bit of luck, these conditions will hold through the night, and then tomorrow we expect they will gently increase during the day. Wow, look at that sunrise. What a beauty. Seas are still flat. Wave Rover has been sailing in the most comfortable way right through for the last 12 hours. Still have a little bit of a moon up there. Look at that sunrise. Unbelievable. It's so calm right now. We're doing about 4 knots, but the seas are unbelievably flat. I don't get a chance to come up forward just for looking around like I am right now. Everything looks fine. I just inspected all the ropes and blocks and everything's fine, as it should be. But what a great morning. So like I just said, we're doing about 4 knots and the seas are relatively calm. The wind is somewhere between 5 and 8 knots, and we have our light weather sail up, and let me just show you what that is and explain it. So this is our light weather sail. You're saying, Alan, that looks like your regular sail. Well, the regular sail was always built oversized. It was always built with 1 extra panel. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels and 2 fan sections. So all we really need to drive Wave Rover under most conditions are 4 panels and the 2 fan sections. So the 5th panel always was for light weather conditions like this. So that's why you always see me reefed whenever the wind is over, say, 10 knots. Or generally you see me reefed at least with 1 panel in when we're over 10 knots. So that's the nature of the junk rig. It's not really that easy and almost impossible on a small boat this size to have some sort of drifter or code 0 or spinnaker that you can shoot. Instead, we just make the junk rig sail extra big and then just have it reefed under normal conditions. What a great morning. Making landfall on the island of Tarawa. It was a beautiful day. One of those clear Pacific Ocean days with a really nice swell. A swell that was probably 100 yards from crest to crest. So very, very comfortable. My sails had been damaged during the crossing of the equator. The squalls that would come up can be very devastating, and they can happen anytime during the night, and you don't always see them coming, and they really stress the sails. But the sails were old to start with. They were 17-year-old sails. They were racing sails that had ended up at this used sail loft. I needed somewhere where I could anchor and do a proper repair of the sails. So I saw on the chart, and this is a chart of the North or Central Pacific, that the island of Tarawa was just a short distance away, perhaps 50 miles away. So I headed for the island of Tarawa, which is located about 1.5 miles north of the equator. But I didn't really have the chart for it. I just had what looked like a little pencil line on the planning chart that I had. But I was young and I was, full of confidence, and I said, I can do that. I can navigate just like the early explorers would have done. So I'm looking out to sea, and there I see it. I see this little green line on the blue ocean. And then that little green line eventually got this frothy whiteness under it. And then the blue filled in a little bit more. And what I was looking at were the top of the coconut trees, because this was a coral atoll, and it was fringed by reef, and you have coconut trees that have planted themselves on the sandy portion of that reef. And then the white was the ocean breaking on the reef. And as I got closer, it was nighttime, but that was no problem because it was a full moon. And amazingly, dolphins were playing in this area, just off my starboard bow, about 25 to 30 feet. They were flying out of the water and spinning and doing a belly flop, but really it was on their backs as they hit the water. And they were doing this over and over again. It was amazing to see. And it had rained just a little bit earlier. And because the moon was out, we had a moonbow. That's like a rainbow, just without the colors. It's monochromatic. It was the first and only time I had ever seen that at sea. And then, as I passed to the north of Tarawa, that's when the smell hit me. It smelled like a beach. And I was thinking, how could that possibly be? It smelled like coconut tanning oil, the kind people would put on in a beach. It took me a while to realize that wasn't tanning oil, that wasn't suntan lotion. That was actual coconuts I was smelling for the very first time. It's amazing how the smells and the sights are seared into your brain after being on the vast ocean for what was, on that passage, 29 days. Well, the Mark III just held the most amazingly steady course right through the night. And the reason is because the waves are so flat. These are ideal conditions. When the waves are bigger, like when we had the 6 to 7 foot seas the other day, those waves come in and they just bash against the side of the boat. And the boat being so light, this tosses us off course, and then the Mark III steers us back onto course. But there's that constant variance, you know, we're constantly in a condition of regaining our track, so to speak. But that's not uncommon for small boats. I mean, bear in mind, Wave Rover only weighs a little over 3,000 pounds. Closer to 4,000 pounds, mind you, with all my gear and ready for deep sea voyaging. Well, as you can see, even in these really calm conditions, we're still making pretty good headway. There you can see we're anywhere from 3.5 to 4 knots, and we're holding a really steady course. Bear in mind, this is a massive distance we're looking out on. So very happy with the performance of Wave Rover, very happy with the way the Mark III is holding such a nice steady course. And by the time I do my noon fix today, we will be well over 400 miles, meaning that, well, we've been averaging, well, over 100 miles a day, including that period of over 12 hours yesterday where we had no wind and we made virtually no headway. Well, with this mild weather, let's head up on deck and have a quick shower and shave. A little bit of air drying here. Sure feels good. I mean, we are in the middle of nowhere after all. No need for modesty out here. The waves are beginning to pick up, and I am beginning to get a little bit of spray over the bow, and you know what that means. That means, well, we'll be making more than 3 to 4 knots shortly. The southeast wind is picking up, and with a bit of luck, that'll be veering to a southwest wind, which is a wind we want, probably in the next 48 hours. Well, it's time to make a little breakfast, but while I'm at it, it's a calmer day, so I want to record all the names here of all the benefactors who have contributed to the building of Wave Rover. Thank you so much. Hope I'm getting all of them. You have made a huge difference. But now let's go take a look at what's in the icebox. It's day 5, so let's see if we still have, yes! So as you can see, there's ice in that bottle, which means we still have a great temperature in here. And what do we have in here? We have a pound of ground beef. That's the last bit of fresh meat that we have. But actually, I enjoy eating the seafood omelet, the Wave Rover seafood omelet, and I'll be showing you that in the future. Might as well close these because these bottles of water, which were frozen, will be drinkable. Well, they're already drinkable, I guess. So there we are, cooked, and that didn't take long. That took probably, about 5 to 8 minutes. I have the stove set on, if you can see that, on 1. I had it on 2 for most of the cooking. I've turned it down to 1 now. That's all it really takes. It's a very fast and easy meal. So there we go, a pound of ground beef. And this is the full fat ground beef because you want the fat to give you energy. Next thing we do is we put some iodine into it. And this is 2% iodine solution. And why do we do that, you might ask? Well, because our diets are deficient in iodine and have been for some time. I put 10 drops in whenever I'm eating ground beef, or really any meal, a day. And if it's the seafood omelet I'm having, because it has seafood, I'll only put 5 in. But then once you put iodine in, you have to put salt. And get yourself a good quality salt and use as much as you like. Or at least that's what I do. Well, there's the NYK Meteor, 294 meters in length. That's approximately 900 feet long. Cargo vessel carrying a lot of sea cans. Those are the 40-foot containers. She's making a closest point of approach right now at 1.8 nautical miles. And I've had her on AIS probably for the last 15 to 18 miles. Well, it's an interesting sunset, and it's the end of day 5 at sea. The wind has picked up quite a bit. It's now blowing 16 to 18. And as you can see, the seas are building. They're a little over 1 meter. They're a little over 3 feet right now. We're close hauled with a full sail. Probably just a little too much sail up. Well, we're making terrific speed with the sail up right now. We're doing approximately 6.5, maybe 7 knots. So I'm going to keep the sail up until I lose the light. Just as I'm losing the light, I'll tuck a reef in, and we'll stay like that overnight. We'll reassess in the morning. The forecast is for the winds and the seas to increase over the next 48 hours. As always, Rovers, thanks for watching, and forge your own adventure.